Hey team, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader podcast. Today I am on with Amy Kinsler. She is the VP of Sales, Marketing, and Communications at Keystone Cooperative, the newly named, newly merged Keystone Cooperative. Excited to dive in and learn what you have learned as you guys have gone through that from an intentional leadership perspective. But Amy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you. First question. What does it mean for you to be intentional?
I think one of the main things when I think about being intentional as a leader, I think about being consistent. To me, I think being a consistent leader, one that is it shows up the same way, right? Regardless of all of the things that might be going on that day or that month or that quarter. Your team knows how you're going to show up. Your team understands, they can rate the quality of the meeting by the way that you show up and are available to them. I have a saying on my whiteboard that says calm is contagious. And I think that is a real key for me especially if you think about what Keystone here has been through over the past several months, right? A lot of change, a lot of angst, a lot of potential even worry from our employee team as you go through a merger. And I truly believe that showing up consistently, giving them, clear expectations, making sure that they know that there's a well-built strategy behind this. The strategy, I believe if you have a well-built strategy, you can be consistent because you're able to play the long game. To me, that's one of the greatest values that we bring here as a cooperative is we can play a long game. We can build a strategy that really helps us execute, helps us be present in the marketplace, and helps us build a culture within our team, within even our customer base that is a thriving culture that can withstand bumps, withstand changes, withstand mergers, withstand up markets and down markets. We can work together to execute across all those. So to me, that intentional piece is, truly about being a consistent leader and being a very visible leader.
I love it. I love it. And I would tie back to the first thing you said around being consistent, which is I don't think anybody said that yet, actually, which is really cool. And as you say it, I even struggle with it a little bit because I'm like, I know there's times I'm not consistent. I know I want to be.
Yeah.
Such a really when people know that they're getting a common version of you. So if calm is, like you said, calm is contagious, right? If calm is part of who you are, right? And they know that consistently that person's showing up. We're not emotional swings all over the board.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of intention that goes into curating that person, which fantastic answer.
Well, I think if you have that mentality and I'd like to say, that's always, it's on my whiteboard as a reminder because I may not always be able to execute that. Right. So I like to keep that in the back of my mind, no matter the challenges of the day. I think if you can respond with a calmness and with a consistency, that will bring the challenges to you. And as a leader, I want my team, I want my peers, I want others to feel like they can come to me with situations that are challenging for them or frustrating to them so that we can work through them together. And if I react emotionally and come off of the handle a little bit, I think that'll lessen their ability to be transparent with me. So I think it's a great value to try to accomplish.
I love it. Very good. Well, Amy, tell us a little bit about you, your background, a little bit about Keystone. Share what you will.
You bet. So Keystone is actually the merger of two of Indiana's largest cooperatives, actually the Midwest, two of the largest Midwestern cooperatives, Series Solutions and Co-Alliance Cooperative. So we just finalized our merger on March 1st. So we're still very young into this new organization as Keystone Cooperative, but really, truly, it gives us a great opportunity to continue to elevate the game of your local retail cooperative. I think that a farmer-owned cooperative has so many tremendous values across our footprint. We're farmer-owned, we're farmer-led, we're farmer-focused every day, and that helps us make sure that we do our job well and we tell our story well. We actually have 4 divisions within Keystone. So we have a obviously our agronomy division, which is very focused on the inputs at the farm gate and the services and the technology that farmers need to be successful. We have an energy division. That division is focused on supplying fuel and propane to not only farmers, but to various industry segments across Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. And then we have a grain division. So we have several grain elevators where we're helping market the farmers' commodities every year, marketing that to a global environment. And then our swine and animal nutrition division, that's our fourth division. That consists of a feed division, as well as we raise quite a few hogs here in Indiana. In fact, we're the largest hog producer in Indiana. And we raise those hogs, we feed those hogs, we help market those hogs. And we're very proud of that division because we believe it brings a diversified opportunity back to our farmer owners. So really 4 key businesses within Keystone, but like I said, a great story to tell. And I've been really blessed to be a part of Keystone, or the legacy cooperatives, here for 10 years, and have enjoyed learning more about the cooperative business model and really, building the cooperative, farmer-owned cooperative of the future.
You bet. Wow. Well, I did not know about the swine, and I assumed an animal nutrition division. I did not know about the pork production aspect.
Yeah, I think we started that about a decade ago, and truly stepped into it because if you think about swine consolidation and pig production, the consolidation of the farm gate, us stepping in and providing assistance. So the farmer owns the facilities, they own all of the assets that go with that pig, but we own the pig, and we contract and manage and own the pig. So it allows that farmer to have just a consistent return on a diversified piece of their business.
Yeah, very unique. I don't know that I've run into a similar, at least a co-op at that magnitude.
Sure.
Similar thing. So very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about talent. I mean, there's got to be so much going on in terms of talent attraction, retention, culture building, all these things. So I want to spend some time diving into these next couple of questions for you today. But what works for you, especially attracting, that type of talent that you guys are looking to bring into Keystone today?
Yeah. That's a great question, because it's been quite a challenge, right? The talent industry and the labor market has not been favorable for us for a couple years now, and very competitive market. So we've been focused on, first of all, getting our story right. We have multiple levels of roles within Keystone, right? From an hourly applicator who might just be driving a tender truck, to help tender to our spray rigs as they're out in the field, all the way up, obviously, to leadership roles within this organization. So a vast array of opportunities here at Keystone. And how do we help market that information, market what a career could look like at this organization? That's been something that our marketing team has focused a lot of time and effort on. We're pretty vocal about all the different roles that are here at Keystone, and giving just really the general public a glimpse at what those roles look like from a day-to-day perspective. We've also really gotten pretty clear on our culture and our mission, our vision, our values. I say that, obviously, we're in the middle of redefining that as a brand new cooperative, but that will be key for us, is that we define a mission and vision and value that can be represented at all levels of an employee base, and not just represented, but actually lived, right, and executed. And we want our mission to be something that is the fabric of the organization. And so that's that I think is really key, that we lead with that, and that anyone from the field level all the way up to the corporate level, they feel that mission and they see it, and they see others living the mission alongside them. Certainly one of the key challenges from an ag perspective, when you talk about going and recruiting, whether it's the next generation or whether it's just our next hourly worker, is to provide a work-life balance. There's no roof over our factory. We run hard when the weather allows us to run, and we work a lot of hours during that time frame. And that's quite a challenge, honestly, is to find an employee base that's willing to work those hours. And so we focused a lot of time as a leadership team talking about work-life balance and what that truly means. It's different for every employee. It's different at every level. And different depending on the time frame, right? There, you may have to sacrifice a little bit of that work-life balance during the spring, but we expect our team to give that back in the spring and in the winter. And so how do we train our managers to adapt to truly a new normal when it comes to work-life balance?
Yeah.
And then the final thing I'll mention is something that we're really just launching this season, but it's taken a tremendous amount of publicity. Is we've got a new program. It's called the SEED program. That stands for Securing Educational and Employee Development. And really, that program, we've partnered with Indiana FFA, and we're going out. We did an application process for high school seniors that are FFA students. And our goal is to bring FFA seniors in. We have an interview process. We hire the top-notch FFA seniors that come out of that program, bring them straight into Keystone Cooperative and put them into a 2-year developmental program so that they're able to experience all the divisions, all the departments here at this organization. And at the end of that 2 years, they get a better opportunity to understand what Keystone is. We've invested in training and certifications for them throughout that 2 years. We've made them a really employable young person. And the goal is to bring them in as a full-time employee at the end of that 2 years in the division that fits them best. And we brought that forward because we believe very, very firmly that there are many roles here in this organization that we can train for. And we believe that experience is just as important as education when it comes to career pathing.
That's a very unique approach. I love the SEED program idea. So during that 2-year time frame, is this the post their senior year that they're coming
Yes.
in, and so they're working with you for you during that 2-year time frame?
We just went through and we did we actually did signings at the local high schools, just like you would if they were signing an athletic contract. Yep. We had a cool backdrop and get quite a bit of social press. We'll go public with it actually here pretty quickly. Cool. It made just a great big deal out of them choosing to choose their career right out of college or right out of high school and coming to Keystone. And I've been amazed at the amount of school administrators, local congressmen, senators. It's just picked up a ton of publicity because there is definitely an interest right now, and we see it right in kids coming out of school trying to determine where their future lies, and we think that we can help provide a great path for them. So we're excited to bring them on. They start here in a couple of weeks, and we'll start putting them through that 2-year process.
I love it. So cool. I love this idea. As you're talking, I'm picturing the backdrop and sort of like putting the Keystone hat on, choosing that.
It is. It's very much. They're wearing a Keystone shirt. I mean, it's they sign the paper. It's very cool. And you know what? I think that we have a lot of their peers that come and watch that. A lot of the FFA chapter will come and encourage them on. And I think it's a great thing for the young people, for young people in general, to see that there's not just the option of college or athletics or, hourly work ahead of you. If you're a high performer, there's opportunities for a lot of these organizations to come in and bring you straight out of high school and develop you, spending the time and the money and the energy to develop you as a future employee.
Well, I think that it's the right time to be doing it because I've got a 16-year-old who was on some college tours this last week. She's a sophomore in high school, and she's feeling all this pressure to decide and have to choose where she wants to go and what she wants to do. And I'm sitting back here thinking, so undergrad degree in ag ed, master's degree in organizational leadership. I've done all the school things that one, would hope to do, and I'm not going any further than that. Thank you. But also a lifetime student, always learning. And now she's entering into a workforce 25 years after I did. And really, and I'm looking around now and I'm saying, well, I don't know. I flat out told her, I said, if you know what you want to go to school for, if this is something that you want to go do that requires you to have a degree, then let's go that route. Like, let's figure it out. Let's pick a school. Really can't screw that up. You're going to figure it out. You're going to be just fine. And then at the same rate, I've said, like, hey, like there are other ways to go out there and get some experience, make some money, and establish yourself a little bit before we go down that route, because you can always go back to university.
Yeah.
We always go back and finish this out. And so we've been having some of those conversations around here lately. So I think that's kind of cool, because we're giving young people an opportunity now to take that leap out of university, out of high school, and go get some experience before going and taking out a bunch of student loans, before being caught up in all these other things that may not be necessary. And they may find that there's a great developmental career path right inside the professional world, and you can get tons of certifications, tons of degrees, make really good money, right, within just a few years. And what a great opportunity.
Well, and I think the other bonus there too, especially when we're in these high schools talking to these young people, is, or with the size and scale that Keystone is now in this 3-state area, we are in the majority of their local towns. We're there. The ones that don't want to pick up and move across the country, even the state, we're there. We're close. We're close to home. And you find that a lot of these FFA students, they're passionate about ag. They believe in the future of agriculture. They've been trained. They understand things that many, honestly, many college graduates don't understand, right? The qualities of the soil, the ability to evaluate crops. I mean, there's just a lot of value that comes that makes them potentially a terrific fit for us. And so we're very excited about it, and we look forward to continuing to ramp this program up as we move forward.
Cool. From a training perspective, this is what I love, because I like this idea as when we're developing people, when we're writing development plans for our coaching clients, everything exists on a progression, right? So wherever that person is the day that we get to meet them, that's where they are. We're trying to take them to whatever B, from A to B, right? And so when you have the context of being in that sort of like that signing environment, and I'm going to I'm going to go play for my college team in this way. Now, and this has been one of my big gripes and challenges about working with ag professionals, excuse me, is that they often don't see themselves as professionals. Right? So when you start to set the context that this is a professional career and you're choosing into this profession, now there's a natural progression that already exists in the mind from that day one. Like if I'm day one walking onto the team as a player at Purdue University, there's going to be some expectations of me, right? I'm going to get coached. I'm going to get taught. I'm going to get drilled. I'm going to get, right? There's going to be all these things that are going to happen in those first few weeks, first few months, first couple of years, right? And then over time, my hope for, and all the best agronomists, sales agronomists, and grain buyers and merchandisers and leaders that I work with see themselves as professionals, and they train like professionals. What a great opportunity to train great behaviors into young people at the onset of their career before they get sloppy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. When we can focus it, right? We can focus the training. We have a built out 2-year program, and people who are focused on ensuring that, because we talk about it a lot on our team, that obviously we had to build the program and attract them to the program, and now we've got them. Now it's up to us to make sure we execute the program, because the defining quality of this program, the thing that we will judge whether it was successful or not, is how many of these young people come and work for us full time at the end of that 2 years, right? How many of them choose Keystone at the end of 2 years? If we do as good of a job as I believe we will in showing them what the future could look like here, I think we'll get we'll get the majority of them.
I like it. Well, I'm sure some of that will depend on how things go with the next question. So let's talk a little bit about culture, right? Because obviously I want to play for a great team with a great culture. So what goes in from your perspective around creating that intentional culture? How do you guys do that at Keystone now?
Well, it's a great question right now, because we announced our due diligence agreement back in August, and really we've been working through a vote to pursue a merger, then a vote for a merger, and then the actual merger. We've been working through that really over the past several months, and a key for us from the very beginning, when we start talking about due diligence, a key for us was setting up the new organization the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we ever went through with a merger or not, we knew that the language we used, the information we shared, all of that was the foundation of the new organization, and would build the future and the culture of that organization. So we were very strategic about what we said and how we said it. And when you bring two cooperatives together, there's an overriding culture of servicing the farmer, right? That's a culture that we all bond over and that we're passionate about, is service at the farm gate and making sure that we are showing up the right way. As we have really looked at this culture at Keystone, you know, we know where we want to challenge ourselves, to do better, where we need to be honest with each other and honest around the changing landscape at the farm gate, the changing landscape in retail and suppliers, and how we, like I said earlier, have a well-built strategy to address that. And this merger was a piece of that strategy for both organizations. For us to be able to be what we aspired to be at the farm gate, this merger, it was a big step to getting us to that point. But I think culture is lived and breathed from your leadership all the way down to the folks at the locations that are touching the customer. And so, you know, we're very forthright about our mission. We did just launch our mission here a couple weeks ago, and that mission is on everything that you see. It's in every building that you will walk into. It's at every presentation you'll be a part of. It's prevalent on our website, prevalent in our LinkedIn site. That mission is what we lead with, and it's something that we expect our team to truly be able to understand and recite. I think that beyond that, our culture is important for our team to see there. It's important for them to know that culture isn't just a word that we say. Culture isn't just an expectation that we have. Culture is something that you know, is our common language. It's the things that we are intentionally truthing ourselves around. And so from a marketing and a sales perspective, our culture and our mission, those are I almost say those together, because at Keystone, the mission is such a key part of who we are that it becomes it's really the building block for our culture, and it's the filter with which we run everything. If there's a marketing program that we're getting ready to come forward with, we will, you know, how does that fit our culture? Does that fit our mission? Are we living up to our mission when we do that? As a sales team, when we talk about where they spend their time and how they spend their time, how does that reflect our mission? Are we living our mission by doing that? So all of those, I think, are very key ways that employees and customers see the culture coming forward is through our mission.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And two things I want to come back for the listeners to just make sure that they write down or mentally note right now. So at the beginning, you talked about setting the new organization the right way, right? Like setting it up the right way, being really intentional, taking a step back. I'm sure I wasn't in the room, so I have no idea what that conversation sounds like, but taking a step back, really thinking about, okay, how is information going to flow, right? Not only who's going to be in charge. I think everybody always gets bent out of shape about who's going to be in charge. I'm sure that conversation happened as you went through the merger. And at the same rate, Nick, now what is the culture going to be of this team? How are we going to lead? What do we stand for? What is our mission, right? So setting the organization the right way at the onset of the conversation, so that when we get into it, there's no confusion. And we've walked side by side through it with a number of our clients through those mergers over the years in different capacities, whether it's working with their teams or working with the executive teams. And the ones that do the best are the ones that get that stuff really at the onset. So, yeah.
Well, and where do you align? And where do you have differences? And where do you have opportunities? Right. I think that also is a part of that, because a merger allows you to become even more crisp around your culture, because it allows you to spend more time again around the messaging and the understanding of who you are and how you aspire to show up in your marketplace.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So there's another piece in here too, which is so using your culture as a filter. That was really
Yeah.
insightful. Something I thought you said that was really insightful. So, so when now it's a decision-making tool,
Yeah.
right? It's not just or some nice words that sit on the wall in the break room for everybody to read. I mean, we actually make decisions through this, and it impacts how we do that.
It's critical to us. I think there's so many distractions out there today, and there are so many balls you could go chase, right? Depending on whatever the latest flavor in the marketplace might be, or whatever the latest marketing tactic might be. How do we make sure? I think that comes back to that intentional piece in general, is being consistent. I think as an organization, we need to be consistent. As a sales team, we need to be consistent. I say that consistently good, right? That's a given. That it's consistently good. And so I think that keeps us from feeling like we're, hard to understand, or messaging around a lot of different opportunities within Keystone from a marketing perspective. We're consistently messaging around who we are, who we aspire to be, how we want to deliver for our customers, and really the same story from a sales perspective.
You bet. I like it. Okay. That's a lot about Keystone. Let's talk about Amy.
Okay.
I'm always curious, what's been one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
I think my history, so I didn't talk about my history. I actually came from a basic supplier side. I was a sales rep for a basic supplier for many years, and came on to the cooperative model 10 years ago to manage their chemistry business. I was a chemistry rep. This was my key account. So then I came on and began to manage their business as a whole, and kind of have moved through the ranks since coming on. And there have been a couple challenges when I think back along my path there. When I started, I would say authenticity is something that I struggled with. I know that's a key part of being a good leader, is being authentic. But when I started my job, and even today, I don't look like most of the people that I sit in a room with, that I work with, or make decisions with, or call upon. And so in the early stages of my career, I found myself trying to be something I wasn't. I found myself trying to be what I thought I needed to be, or what people wanted me to be. And I think it took me a while to figure out that actually, being authentic to myself, and being authentic to some of the things that make me successful, that's really what started to drive my capacity within my roles, is that I embraced who I was and where my talents truly lie. So I think that was certainly challenging early on. Still something that I kind of have to set right every so often, when I hear myself talking and think, well, that's, that's me, trying to respond how this group wants me to respond versus what I think the response should be. And then I think the other piece that's been hard is I was always very much a doer in my roles. I was the one that, controlled the sales calls, controlled the sales planning, controlled the engagement with the customer, and the follow-up, and all of the things, again, that happened to help me become successful as a salesperson. And as you become a leader, and you learn now that you have to not only delegate that, obviously you have to delegate that, but your style is likely not their style. So what are the key key strategies that need to be executed on, but then giving that independence and that empowerment for your team to go execute that the way they do best, which is authentic to them, right? It's authentic to their style. They're not going to follow the Amy Kinsler style of organizing their sales calls, or following up, or contacting customers, but they know what's expected of them, and they know the foundational tools to make them successful as a salesperson. I think those are a difficult piece to learn as you go through your developmental path.
Yeah. That's fantastic answer all the way through, by the way. I love this. So many of us spend so much time trying to be something or someone that we're not, to fit in, to get the respect. And then finally you realize, like, there really is no competition to be me. That's the easiest one to do.
Yeah, it
Right.
is.
Let's just go with that. And then, God smiles at you and say, okay, that's what I was looking for. That's what I put you there for. Let's go do those things. But the note on delegation, like that's the real struggle. I mean, we have now hundreds of coaching clients on our roster, and I can't be on all those calls.
No, no.
Beginning, I know, like, if I go, I know it's going to be successful. I know the client's going to be happy. I know we're going to get rehired. And you have to build systems and processes and allow, your culture and your core values and your requirements to show it through. But ultimately, like, that person's got to execute the job.
And you have to empower them. That's another thing that when you talk about culture at this organization is, we want the person closest to the farmer, closest to the customer, because it's not all farmers, right? We have a pretty significant business that is not farmer driven. But we want that person to be the decision maker. We need them to be able to step on the farm and say yes or no, I can do that, or I can't do that. And I think that you have to really empower your team with a lot of information, with a lot of trust, and with a lot of transparency to be successful in that route. But we've found without question that is that's the quickest way to go grow your business and to grow trust and relationships at the farm gate, is if they feel like they are dealing with the person that makes the decision at the end of the day.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. All right. So it's a big challenge. Great answer, by the way. What has been one of your biggest wins?
I think, well, sales numbers and sales volume and sales margins, all of those would speak for themselves, right? I obviously every year I get a scorecard on that to see how we do on that. And we've had quite a few really successful years behind us. But I view this a little differently, because I think it comes back to culture, because culture is so important to get right in an organization. It's such it not only helps us go recruit people, but it helps us keep them. It helps them believe they're part of a bigger thing, honestly, too. When I talk about our mission, a big piece of our mission is giving back to our local communities, our rural communities. And we find that is such that's so impactful to all generations, but certainly as we're out recruiting new generations, they want to, I believe they want to feel like they're part of a bigger thing. And Keystone gives them that opportunity, gives them an opportunity to give back at a higher level to their rural communities. But one of the biggest wins for me is that I've been in this marketing role here for a couple of years now, and we're very strategic about certain taglines that we use, or certain words that we use, or ways that we describe our organization. And nothing makes me more proud than when I sit with a group of folks and they repeat those back to me without me asking. But it's just what they say. It's how they describe themselves. It's how they describe the organization or their role within the organization. When I hear them repeat the language or repeat the taglines that we've put out there, it tells me that we're resonating, that we're putting this information in the right spot, and that our team is grabbing it and running with it. And I believe that creates no matter how big we are, right? As an organization, we have around 2,000 full-time employees now. And if they can all have some of that common language together and have some of those common beliefs together, I think it makes us really powerful. And I think it makes it feel like a smaller cooperative, which truly at the end of the day, we don't want to lose that capacity from an employee and a customer feel.
Yeah. Like it. One of our goals as a team, as we grow and we have more people under our care, is because your people could be our people. They're not at this point, but I mean, if you imagine, like, we consider a client's employees, right, and as part of like our care, so we're in partnership with them.
Yeah.
There may be hundreds, but how do we make each one feel like the only one?
Yeah.
That's the mission, right? Can our systems and processes and coaches be that dialed in, right? Where they're able to provide that experience where, man, I mean, that person may never interact with another one of our clients. For all they know, they're the only one we have.
Right.
Who we're trying to create, and like being that intentional around it. So I love where you're going with that win, because it's like, have we dialed in our marketing message, our culture, our systems, our values, all the things, and we're able to see that throughout every aspect of the organization, right? To be able to see that as a win, that's pretty phenomenal.
It is. It's really, it helps you understand the value of clear communication and strategic communication, in my opinion. And I think that when employees hear other employees saying those things, I think it really resonates with them as well. And that's one of the most important things, I think, as an organization we can get right.
Great. Love it. All right, I think we got time for two more quick ones. What book or podcast do you recommend people be paying attention to, listening to, reading?
So one of the books that this is an old school book, and I'm sure most people have all read it, but The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, for me, I think it's because maybe all people do, but I certainly value a high quality team and a high performing team. To me, that I'm more bought into team success over individual success. And I think that has been one of the books that I really, I put most of my teams through that. I want them to read it. And it's something when I think about, an issue, or if there is something happening within a team that doesn't feel good, I'll often revisit that, and think about, is this because we're missing trust or accountability, or is it because we're afraid to address conflict here? Do we have a commitment issue, or do we not understand the value of our results? To me, that's one of the clear veins that I like to, really kind of vet a lot of my team leadership through.
Great book. Yeah, definitely good recommendation.
Yeah, I enjoy it great. And then there's several podcasts I listen to in the morning. I get up in the morning and run every morning. There are several podcasts I listen to. I listen to Simon Kinnick's podcast around just, viewing life with an optimistic mind. I think that helps set my mind right. And honestly, I also listen quite a bit to the Joe Rogan podcast, just from the perspective of how he asks good questions and discovery questions, and learns more about people that sit across the table that don't have the same beliefs or opinions as him, but he does such a great job of working through and understanding where others maybe come from. There's a lot to learn from that perspective, and that's probably my sales mind there that enjoys that one.
Yeah, I love that. I love that about the Rogan show too. All right, great recommendations. You partially maybe have answered this in that last answer, but what do you do to keep your energy up?
Well, I do. Surprisingly, a morning workout is my place to really set my mind straight for the day. A lot of my best thinking comes there. A lot of my best listening comes there, obviously, as well. So I always set my alarm early, and I'm up well before the sunrise to get after the day. I also, I'm actually an introverted person. So I know my job, and a lot of what I do is around others, and expending my energy to establish those relationships and maintain those relationships. So I try really hard to be smart about where I schedule my time, and making sure that I have a few breaks within the day to just catch my breath a little bit and recharge throughout the day. So in the role that I'm in, I tend to find myself overscheduled with meetings and calls and questions. And so being very consistent about blocking some time. It may only be 10 or 15 minutes, but that's really all I need to catch a little breath and reset.
Good. Well, very, very intentional, and love that you get the morning workout in. That's something we always are recommending to our clients at our Thriving Leader program. We open with a workout.
Oh, yeah.
Not
those who know me well, and those who work closely beside me, they know if there's a day that I didn't get my workout in. Like there's just something off, there's just something that's a little off when you when you're not able to just, and for me, I think it's not just about being healthy, but it's a time to think and a time to be strategic about your day and your month and where you're heading.
Yeah, well, one of the things we teach is it's a direct deficit to your personal capacity to perform. And so we talk about leading indicators. And there's three big ones that we focus on in our work. It's clarity, certainty, and capacity. And capacity is what's your physical, mental, emotional ability, capability to go through the day well. And we know people that, that get up, have some sort of a morning routine, are intentional about what they do, not just rolling straight into their emails, phones, calls, et cetera, right away, have more capacity to be present for others throughout the day. So
There's no doubt.
yeah, absolutely. So well, good for you on that one. Amy, any last thoughts before we bring it in for a landing officially today?
No, I love the idea of being intentional. I think that, in today's world, there's so much information, there's so much complexity within our business, within the ag business as a whole. There are so many things that we could aspire to be, and we could chase, that if we're not intentional, we'll be the jack of all trades and the master of none. And I believe that being very focused on what your market is, who your stakeholders are, who your influencers are, and how you want to show up, how you want to be perceived within your market, whether it is from customers, employees, or those stakeholders, is really critical. And a well-built culture and a well-built strategy jointly will get you there. It's hard to have a well-established one without the other.
Good stuff. Well, I love the words, that adjective, well-built. Such a great describer, and a good thing for all of us to intentionally shoot for. So you guys, one of the reasons I brought Amy on the show, I follow her on LinkedIn. I think you guys should too. A lot of the stuff that she mentioned here today, you can actually see that happening in real time as they post about it on LinkedIn. So go check that out and see which of these ideas you need to apply to your business that makes sense. But Amy, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. This was great.